All right, here to take a look at the judge. Brett Kavanaugh is attorney and senior fellow at the National Review Institute, David French. Okay, David, tell me your thoughts on this nomination.
You know, look, I would say he was probably amongst the final four. He was probably the safest pick that Trump could make.
Even more than Hardiman?
I would say even more than Hardiman, for the simple reason that I think there would be more objection to Hardiman from the right than there is objection to Kavanaugh from the right. Look, Kavanaugh is a guy who, he's in the Mount Rushmore of establishment Republican lawyers. Yeah. I mean, this guy has been around since the first Bush administration, worked for the Solicitor General there, all the way through, worked in the White House counsel's office with George W. Bush, been a judge on the D.C. Circuit for many years. I mean, this guy has credentials upon credentials. And so this is a person who I think you would see a President Rubio appoint. This is what a President Jeb Bush would appoint. If this guy can't get confirmed, you start to wonder who could get confirmed. He is the Republicans' Republican lawyer.
So, and I'm going to talk about the battle in the Senate in the next segment, but you tell me, he promised last night to judge each case individually and with an open mind. Do you see him as an activist judge, or should we just take him at his word?
You know, I think he's an originalist judge, by and large. I mean, there are opinions he's written that I didn't agree with, and I would have preferred a different judge. I wanted Amy Coney Barrett to receive the nomination, but he's a guy who deserves to be confirmed, and he deserves to be confirmed in large part, I think, because he has a long originalist track record. This is a guy who tries his best to interpret the Constitution, to read the text of a statute, and to interpret the law, not make the law. And I think that's one of the primary points going for him.
Well, is there anything in Judge Kavanaugh's resume that you think would put him outside of the judicial mainstream? Because that's what we're going to hear a lot of from the left.
No way. No, not him. This is a guy who is squarely within, and let me be very clear, the conservative judicial mainstream. We have two judicial mainstreams in the United States. We have a liberal judicial mainstream and we have a conservative judicial mainstream. Brett Kavanaugh isn't just in the judicial mainstream of conservative thought. He often defines and helps define the mainstream of conservative judicial thought. This guy is a leader. He has been a leader for a very long time. And so when I say he's an establishment Republican, I'm not saying that to insult him in any way. I'm just stating a fact.
So some on the right have some other concerns over some of his decisions, including on his sort of working of the Affordable Care Act and nudging John Roberts in the direction he ultimately went into. Are those concerns warranted, do you think?
Yeah, I do think they're warranted, and I actually wrote at length about that. I thought that he improperly interpreted the Obamacare statute to read the penalty, the Obamacare individual mandate penalty, as a tax and not as a penalty.
Which ultimately helped it sort of repeal, right, under the tax code.
Exactly, and so I believed that that was a wrong decision, but I don't think that's going to be the kind of mistake that's going to derail his nomination in any way. I don't think it'll bring any Democrats to his side. I don't think it will alienate any Republicans. That was an argument to be had in the pre-nomination phase. This was when Republicans were arguing about who to select. Now that the selection is made, I think you're going to see Republicans, some might express some reservations here and there, but I think by and large you're going to see Republicans rally around him because, quite frankly, if he's not qualified to sit on the Supreme Court as a Republican or as a conservative judge, nobody is.
Well, so the new rallying cry, new today, is over concerns that he favors executive immunity from indictment and even investigations, which some are pointing out is very convenient for Trump, who is currently being investigated. But is that a rare thing for a jurist to have that kind of view, to make that kind of distinction?
Well, you know, what that is based on is a law review article he wrote in 2009 where he expressed some policy ideas that that would be potential for laws that Congress could pass. He was not expressing a judicial philosophy. He was sharing the experience that he gained when he was working for the Ken Starr investigation of Bill Clinton. And that is, frankly, a little bit unusual to see a judge express some policy ideas.
Yeah.
But he did not express a judicial philosophy regarding presidential immunity there. And in fact, he even acknowledged that as of right now, the Clinton v. Jones precedent is binding. It's binding precedent on it. Well, it's the leading precedent on the Supreme Court, holding that a president can be held liable in civil court even while they are president of the United States. So that was a legislative policy proposal. It wasn't an explanation of his judicial philosophy. So I don't think anyone should read too much into that.
Well, somehow I don't think liberals are going to appreciate that nuance. But just real quick before I let you go, if you were advising Democrats in the Senate, who will have an opportunity to question him, what would you tell them to focus on? What's his weakness?
You know, I will tell you what they're going to focus on. They're going to focus on health care issues, and they're going to focus on Roe v. Wade. That's what they're going to absolutely focus on, and that's what he's going to have to be prepared to answer those questions, and answer those questions in a way that doesn't give conservatives cause for concern, because as you noted, there's a senator or two that has expressed reservations.
David French, thanks so much. Really appreciate your insight there.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, could some...